Hello, everyone. Welcome back. I am the Human Advocate, an advocate for humans, and today I'm looking at Dear Vivek, I suppose a follow-up to Dear Elon. I did see that it came out a couple of days ago, and I've been meaning to do a video on it, so I hope you can forgive me for the time that's taken for this to happen, but I'm here now, so let's just switch on over and see what we're working with. Here we go. And I'll, of course, again, stop the video as it goes.
Please leave a message after the tone.
Chris, you ever redline your car?
Oh,
I'm sure it's,
make sure it's all
It's
the
such
way.
a rush, bro.
Okay,
my mommy said I should drive safe.
turn this down a little bit.
Your mom doesn't let you redline your car?
She'll know.
You gotta redline it.
She's a car guy.
Hold on.
All right, she's a classic car guy. What kind of cars is she into?
What was
we
the
go.
one in Ferris Bueller's Day Off?
Ferrari.
Ferrari. They
Ferrari.
restart the odometer or reset the
Ferrari,
odometer.
Rari.
Well, that's what you do when you sell a car.
Yeah.
What a gay little car. 250 GT California. How much do those go for?
Classic.
$100,000. Get out of here. Now we're doing a return to classical elegance here. How did they back in the day when they wore hats to take the train? How did they not adjust their balls 50 times a day?
It wasn't documented.
It was the ball adjusting wasn't documented. I've never seen on an old TV show a guy reach his hand into his pants to adjust his balls, or sitting just having them unbuttoned all the time. You don't see that on TV.
When guys wear,
My God.
Panties? When guys wear what?
it's gonna sound gay when I say it. I don't want to say it.
Nothing could sound gayer
Nah.
than the books I've been reading lately. Guys,
Uh-oh.
we got Vivek Ramaswamy, Woke Inc.
Okay.
We got Capital Punishment, How Wall Street is Using Your Money to Create a Country You Didn't Vote For, by the best-selling author of Woke Inc. right here. And we have Truths, The Future of America First. Luckily, this is written at a fourth grade reading level. So pretty much anybody can pick this up and start to rock. And then we have Nation of Victims, which is all about how you and I, because we had sleepovers and fun childhoods and our moms didn't make us play violin, how we should be replaced by Indians. That's the last chapter this book is about. But
All right. Well, just getting into it. I haven't read any of those books. So I did get Truths because it's the more recent one, and I just hadn't taken any. I haven't really looked at it as of yet, but after the comments, of course, I had it shipped here before, back in I don't know, months ago. Guess during the kind of the peak of Vivek's kind of rise there, and I know that it's quoted with all those. There's 10 things that are true, and that he's said that multiple times. So this, when I saw the tweet, of course, more recently, and I guess I could find that. Actually, let me find that. Hold on, just so we have context on what it is actually that we're going after here. I'll read it verbatim. The reason top tech companies often hire foreign-born and first-generation engineers over native Americans isn't because of an innate American IQ deficit, a lazy and wrong explanation. A key part of it comes down to the C word, culture. Tough questions demand tough answers, and if we're really serious about fixing the problem, we have to confront the truth. The truth. Our American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence for way too long, at least since the 90s, and likely longer. That doesn't start in college, it starts young. A culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ or the jock over the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers. And this, I think this is the crux of the anti-American accusation that's being lobbied at Vivek and people who think like him. You look at this. Our American culture has venerated mediocrity over excellence for way too long, at least since the 90s and likely longer. That doesn't start in college, it starts young. I want to kind of break that down because venerated mediocrity, the thing that most Americans have aspired for is to live a good, simple, honest, easy life. Not many Americans set out to, I want to grind and grind and grind every day until I'm nothing. What they would like is the easier something is. We like complexity, sure, in like gadgets and gizmos and cars and those kinds of things. But at our core, we want things to be simple. Simplicity is what makes America America. It's not about being complex and overthinking and over engineering things like the Germans. And it's not about rote copying like it is for the Asians, the Japanese, and the Chinese. It's about putting a heart and soul into something and then having that kind of just make you you. It's not about these things that are efficient. Like, efficiency is good. An American efficiency, we like some efficiency, but we also appreciate our relaxation. We also appreciate our ease. We also appreciate our simplicity that goes along with all of that. And reading on 90s and likely longer. That doesn't start in college, it starts young. Okay. A culture that celebrates the prom queen over the math Olympiad champ or the jock or the valedictorian will not produce the best engineers. This, I will say, I was probably what you would consider more of a nerd. Maybe someone who didn't really do much sports or stuck to himself, is more introverted. But I'm not going to stand here and say that if nerds ran things that would make things a lot better. You need both types. So you need to understand that there are both types, and you need introspective and you need outerspective kind of opinions on these kinds of things. It's not something that you can just, discount. Brawn and brains are important. It's not just brains that make a nation, and it's not just brawn that make a nation either. Brawn can enforce your borders, you can, but you don't allow flourishing as much if that's your sole focus. And if you're just brains, then people will dominate you before you even rise to power or become anything of significance. So this kind of thinking would not have gotten America to the place that it is now if we had thought this way from the beginning. The reason why we think this way, where we celebrate the prom queen and the jock, is because we realize that there's effort that goes into both of those things. And that's not to discount any effort that goes into studying and all those kinds of things either. But in a previous American culture in like the 1940s and 50s, earlier, I would say there was a good amount of people that had this jack of all trades kind of idea, had this kind of Renaissance man kind of idea. You talk about Benjamin Franklin, you talk about Thomas Jefferson. I mean, none of them were people that were lazy or necessarily people that were of lower intellectual status or people that were just solely made of brawn and nothing else. There was a blending of material, of brain matter, and as well as physical matter in your arms and your strength to make you a more influential person. And that's what we're looking for, I think. As America, we're not looking at simply celebrating the prom queen or the jock, but we don't need to produce the best engineers. It just doesn't, it's not a necessity. If people have simple, easy lives without engineering, that's fine too. There's nothing wrong with being a prom queen. There's nothing wrong with being a jock. There's nothing wrong with being a nerd. We don't need to denigrate one side or the other to call someone more American or less American and try and because that's what I get this feeling of by looking at this. So let's move on. I spend a lot of time on this, but let's continue. A culture that venerates Corey, this was good. A Corey from Boy Meets World, or Zack and Slater from Screech in Saved by the Bell, or Stefan over Steve Urkel in Family Matters will not produce the best engineers. Yeah, I mean, that's true. We won't produce the best engineers when Corey of all people from Boy Meets World. I mean, I grew up with Boy Meets World, and I didn't look at Corey and was like, that's a jock right there. I also didn't look at him and say he was like some intellectual Einstein of the show either. You know, for these other ones, I'm not as familiar with, except Steve Urkel, being the suspenders and plaid shirt and glasses and all that kind of stuff. But this does not make, it doesn't make Americans, okay? American engineers, you have to understand what makes an engineer have the panache, like this extra thing that you kind of want. Like, a Russian engineer is not an American engineer. And an Indian engineer is certainly not an American engineer, as well as a Russian engineer is not an Indian engineer. And this is this kind of thing. There's a culture, there's a flavor that goes along with these engineers. There were jocks that have kind of this blending of mind and physicality, and that's kind of the American way. So it's important that engineering, you realize it has a flavor. You don't come up with ideas that are uniquely American by going intellectually from these things that weren't there in the first place. Do you see what I'm saying? Like, if we decide to change this whole culture and we go this intellectual route and we decide to just get rid of all of the jock stuff, what we would consider an American engineer will be less, and we will be more of whatever the globalized, homogenized idea of an engineer is for the 21st century. It won't be an American engineer. It'll be an efficient, globalized, homogenized engineering class. And that's not what you're trying to do as an American when you're trying to suggest these things. What you're trying to do is you're trying to make American lives better by professing an American lifestyle. And that's an important thing I think needs to grasp. Fact. I know multiple sets of immigrant parents in the 90s who actively limited how much their kids could watch those TV shows precisely because they promoted mediocrity, and their kids went on to become wildly successful STEM graduates. That's great. That's cool. Maybe that is the truth, and good for them becoming STEM graduates. Me watching Boy Meets World, I will tell you, I'm not hating myself. I don't hate my life. I'm aspiring to mediocrity. There's nothing wrong with trying to be an average person. I don't understand this. People can be average. This is why when you go on dating apps, both and for companies, everyone is after the best. Everyone is after the best, and no one wants to settle. No one wants to settle for anything, not for a damn thing. And why? Because we all think we deserve the absolute epitome of what is the best. Humans aren't built like that. Some of us are not going to achieve the pinnacles of life in this lifetime. Some of us will simply have homes, get married, and have 3 children and 2.5 beds. That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Nothing wrong with that at all. If they live a good, happy life that contributes and is not morally degenerate, and they're not contributing to criminal populations, there's nothing wrong with that. Not a thing. Moving on. More movies like Whiplash, fewer reruns of Friends, more math tutoring, fewer sleepovers, more weekend science competitions, fewer Saturday morning cartoons, more books, less TV, more creating, less chillin', more extracurriculars, less hanging out at the mall. Again, Vivek, there was nothing wrong with Friends, with sleepovers, science competition, with Saturday morning cartoons. All these things that you're saying here are almost quintessentially known as the 80s, which, if you ask any American, would be some of the pinnacle of American civilization. Would be the 80s. Having good television, having sleepovers, communicating, having good communities. Saturday morning cartoons were definitely a thing in the 80s, as was TV. Chillin' was also prized because we could chill, because we didn't have to work 80 hours a week in order to chill. Chill, guy. And hanging out the mall was fine because we had a social cohesion that was leading to a society that was actually together and understood itself. We knew where we stood in the world. We knew that we were facing communism. We had to defeat communism. We were with the people that were against communism. And we appreciated everyone that stood near us and could communicate and socialize. Then came the 21st century, where we started to become these more atomized, little efficient machines. That's not good. It's not good. No one should aspire for that. That's not human, and it's not a good thing to look forward to. Most normal American parents look skeptically at those kinds of parents. More normal American kids view those kinds of kids with scorn. I don't know where this is coming from. I mean, maybe that's true in today's age. I mean, I think there's people like, aren't they just mostly on TikTok and everything else nowadays? Honestly, this doesn't make any sense to me. I don't see how they view kids with scorn for, I don't know, what is this? More those kids, those kinds of parents. I don't know. I'm not understanding what he's really saying here, or what he was saying. If you grow up aspiring to normalcy, normalcy is what you will achieve. And? Do you know when society was good? Society was good when people were considered normal. Normality is fine. It's totally fine. And it's totally fine to have hyperactive people that are not okay with being normal. But you can't encourage every single human being on this earth or in the United States of America to be abnormal. You don't create society that way. You have to have things that you say, this is what makes us normal. This is a baseline. This is a good point for which us to be at. And from there, if you decide to aspire for more, good on you. Great job. I'm not going to, hate you. And then we also have this point of normalcy because we can look at people that are below that threshold. And we see those people that fall there and like, well, you're not doing as well. Maybe you should be up here with us in the normal range. But if you set everyone should be up here, and most people can only aspire to here, you're going to create a huge amount of dissatisfaction in society that is going to ruin social cohesion. And you can't do that and expect long-term good, positive outcomes. Next. Now close your eyes and visualize which families you knew in the 90s or even now who raised their kids according to one model versus the other. Be brutally honest. I knew plenty of families that raised kids just as, I did. I was. My, I guess, friend, he is a professor, but, yeah, he had a very Tiger Momish kind of overview of his life, like was micromanaged every single point of it. And the only reason he could have been successful in the 80s regardless, this is the thing. Now, in order to succeed, we require the tiger mom because we created this culture that requires, whoops, I got so angry I pulled my glasses off. That requires this tiger momish attitude in order for us to be successful. In reality, you didn't need any of that. All you needed was a good job and a decent home and not to get into a criminal element, and you would be fine. You'd be taken care of. Now, that is not the case because the normalcy has been removed from society and no one can get there because there is a dissatisfaction level of what it is to be normal. Moving on. Normalcy doesn't cut it in a hyper-competitive, and here we are. Normalcy doesn't cut it in a hyper-competitive global market for technical talent. And if we pretend like it does, we'll have our asses handed to us by China. There's a lot to break down here. Normalcy doesn't cut it in a hyper-competitive global market for technical talent. And if we pretend like it does, we'll have our asses handed. So, you're not arguing in good faith in American character if you think that the way to beat China is to become like China. That is not how America defeats its enemies. That is not how conquerors conquer the strongest person on planet Earth. It doesn't matter who it is. Whoever it is, you don't take on someone by going down a talent stack that they have already dedicated their lives to becoming masters at. If you want to defeat an enemy, you do it in a way they don't expect. And if we're trying to become like China and make everyone into drones and slaves and under the thumb of the Communist Party and monitored every day with non-stop monitoring of phones, cameras, IDs, social credit systems, just to make us to have some technical talent so we can compete, that's not acceptable. That's not acceptable, and no one should be okay with that. No American should be okay with that. If you had told that to George Washington and they looked at China and said, and you told him, this is what I want America to be. I want America to have this highly technical talent just like China over here. Are you going to sit there and tell me that George Washington would look at his citizens and be like, yeah, I want them to be highly technical, working for infinitum until we beat the Chinese? No. This can be our Sputnik moment. We've awakened from slumber before, and we can do it again. Trump's election hopefully marks the beginning of a new golden era in America, but only if our culture fully wakes up. A culture that once again prioritizes achievement over normalcy, excellence over mediocrity, nerdiness over conformity, hard work over laziness. Okay. So, if our culture fully wakes up, a culture that prioritizes achievement over normalcy, there's achievement that there is to be had, and there's achievement that's to be had in different kinds of things. And it's not just one thing that Americans excel at. America was made to be the country of Renaissance men and Renaissance women that have multiple talents under their belt and are masters of none and are jack of all trades. If there was ever a country that was made in this world, on this earth, to be a place where people could be jack of all trades and succeed without having to achieve technical feats equivalent to that of Einstein, it would be America, because we provided a good quality of life and we trust each other, we have good social cohesion, and we'll catch each other if we fall, and all these kinds of things that have happened because that is our character. That is our whole country. It is not about overachieving and leaving those of us who don't achieve behind in the dust. That's not what America is. That's not what Americans are. We are underdogs. We believe in ourselves. And those are two important things. And you can't be an underdog if everyone's an overachiever. ruins, that goes against the whole American spirit. You're trying to remake a whole American identity here. Really sure. Hard work over laziness. Hard work on its own is not something to be prized. Hard work on its own is not something to be prized. Hard work with efficiency, with tools that make your life easier, that is the thing to strive for. It is not to simply work and work and work. And this is the thing that the boomers and that these technocrats like Vivek are really not understanding. That's the work we have cut out for us. Rather than wallowing in victimhood and just wishing or legislating alternative hiring practices into existence, I'm confident we can do it. Victimhood. I mean, I kind of agree with the wallowing in victimhood. Yes, there are definitely groups that wallow in victimhood and legislate alternative hiring practices. We still do that with H-1Bs. We do that with a lot of the things of the civil rights era. We have legislated an entire era basically against the interests of the people that were here. And we did that because we trusted that everyone would try and go by these meritocracy, high-minded practices of, I'm going to hire you because you're the best person for the job, not because I have an in-person preference for you because Bob down the street told me you were a good guy, and so you're good in my book. No. What it's about is actually, it's about working towards a good future and a good life. It is not about simple hard work. Working should be in its own reward something that gets you a life that is worth living. That is all. And now you can see why this was so universally panned and why Vivek has fallen out of favor with the conservative movement, with the conservative base, I'll say. I don't know. I mean, there's definitely some stuff there that is just unpalatable for average America. You came up here on your high horse and you started lecturing to your base about how they're supposed to behave and how the culture's supposed to be, and you're a high achieving guy, but most Americans aren't high achieving people. The reason why Trump works is because he gets down on our level. He doesn't try and bring us up to say, "Oh, you're not a businessman, you wouldn't understand." He's never said that. Not once has he said, "You just don't understand. You never understand because I am this and better and I know this kind of stuff and you just don't because you've never been in my world." He said, "I know because I've been there." And he doesn't say, "You wouldn't know because you've never been there." He doesn't say that. He tries to bring you in. What you're trying to do is bring yourself out, which was the problem with this whole tweet. And if you wanted to say this, you could have said it a little more eloquently, but you didn't. And that's the problem. So, anyway, we're going to get back to the video now.
Some of this stuff is pretty spicy, man. Let me open this up here. Right here, yeah. I'll never forget when I was in middle school. I can't even read that on camera.
Okay.
It was when I turned 33 that I realized I was addicted to making men gay like B. Diddy. I'm not going to spoil it for you guys, but this Vivek, these books, this is some, and actually, no joke, the first word I saw is homosexuality. So it's not that far off here. Oh,
Wow.
that's a harsh allegation. For example, there's no such thing as a gay gene. Yeah.
Okay.
Hell yeah.
All right.
So I was told that if I wanted to have Vivek Ramaswamy on the show, I would have to read all 4 of his books because he didn't want to have a remedial conversation. So that's why I have these.
And see,
It's
this
because
is
we got to
this
get
is the
Vivek on.
This is the point. This is the point, right? Like he already said it. Like I just said it with going over the tweet, but you put yourself on this pedestal and you've said that you're so, you're high and mighty and everyone should be up here, and you've never taken the time to be like, well, why would people want to be down there? What am I missing? What is it about that era or that time or that place or those people down there? Have I really looked into it? Have I seen that there's something there that they want to preserve and they want to keep for themselves, and that is a positive and they should keep in their own lives? No, no, I just think you just haven't thought about it hard enough, and you're probably not understanding, and you're just below my intelligence, and how could you ever understand?
Why, there are no children here at the 4-H club either. Am I so out of touch? No, it's the children who are wrong.
You can't do that, man. You can't do that and try and be an American leader. You can't. American leaders have to appeal to all people. It can't just be the high and mighty techno class of the world, of the United States. Sorry, just not going to work.
On the show.
Is that from Vivek or from?
That was from Vivek, yeah.
Yeah.
Any page you open this up to, I promise you it's going to be just glop. Random page, 142 of truths. I have my doubts about whether Ann Coulter is actually, that's in italics, more ready to vote for the great-grandson of a Jamaican immigrant than she is for the grandson of an Anglo-Saxon British lord. This is what people care about? This is what you're supposed to care about? You know what? The thing is, I could sit here with my highlighter and my notepad,
Wow.
and I could have ChatGPT
Wow.
read these things and summarize them for me, which is what I would do. I could go through these and have, my little legal pad where I'm typing up my debate notes.
Oh my God.
How about this, though? You're Indian. Let's get this show on the road. I'm going to talk to you about your country. Please. Oh. Got water on the vintage video gear.
Okay.
Whoops. It's already floating down the stream. Chris, can you get me a bucket? It's already dripping everywhere, Chris. Emergency.
Oh boy.
There
Tell
we
this
go.
one's gonna be
Hey guys,
spicy.
welcome to the Sam Hyde Show.
Gonna be spicy.
Vivek Ramaswamy is a first-generation American entrepreneur, investor, New York Times bestselling author. He's the founder of multi-billion-dollar enterprises, including Roivant Sciences.
I should tell you also, this is my first time watching this at all, like all the way. So you're with me, I'm with you. We're seeing it hopefully for the first time. This is my genuine reaction. So
That's the one with the fake medicine, right? Roivant Sciences. This guy like Elizabeth Theranos. This is so woke right of
Wow.
me. Hold on a second. Perfect. Chris, could you go give this to a young kid that's struggling to get ahead in business?
wow. Oh boy.
So we're learning about show production right now. Step one,
All right.
when you're surrounded by video stuff, you want to keep it liquid cooled, okay? We do liquid cooling, keep this stuff soaking wet
Yep.
so that it can buzz and vibrate behind your head when you're trying to think.
Sure.
Perfect.
Sure.
Folks, we had you call in. You guys rang my number. You banged my line, 1-800-1444-1434. Call Sam. Amazing
That's
stuff.
calling
Quality
show now.
voicemails
All right.
were left.
Take a look at that.
If you call, we're going to use it on the show. So don't dox yourself. Don't say anything that you don't want other people hearing. It's not my private line, okay? That's 1434. Call Sammy is how you get that one. There's an extra few digits in there. It's not SAMI. CALSAMI.
Hi, Sam. Right now, my family is going through a pretty big
Okay.
upheaval. Our new
I see what we're
landlords
doing
at our
here.
shop are Arab, and they're kicking us out to put up a chop shop vinyl car wrapping business. We're being forced to move by March. I don't know what to do. There's not really an amount of working harder that can help the simple fact that another person is taking away from our lives. I'm doing the best that I can to help my dad and continue this business on. It was always my dream to work for you, but now it's my dream to continue my dad's business because I love him a lot. As time has gone by, I've realized that being an American means doing what you owe your family and helping them. I don't know if you'd agree with that, but that's how I think. Thanks.
You don't want.
Wow. Wow. That's, yeah. And that's what it's about. It's supporting, you have a support network and you support them. It's not about overachieving. I don't even, like, I can't even imagine being in that kind of position. Wow. Okay.
Want to work for me. I only pay in Nigerian crypto, okay? I only pay in Nigerian crypto. The flip side of that coin, it's called gold coin. It's backed by gold. If you are fortunate enough to have family that you can link up with, team up with, and build a business, that's probably one of the best things going right now, or ever.
Yeah.
It's low friction. You don't have to have contracts. You know that the person, their genetic destiny is tied to yours. They want you to succeed, hopefully, unless you have some schizo brother or something who's always raping people. You got a brother like that, Chris?
Raper?
Yeah.
Not anymore.
I guess I've heard horror stories from people who have family members
Wow.
from hell. I guess
Okay.
it's a case-by-case thing. But yeah, if you have a family member that's got their stuff together, especially if it's your father who can show you the ropes like I show Chris, show him the ropes.
Yeah.
That's what it's time to work out with Chris. I show him the ropes.
Right.
He never does it. He hates it. But yeah, man, team up. And it is time to hunker down, though. And I'm going to couch this in certain language. The best known procedural, this is a whole chapter here. Members of the public, the framers of the Constitution, believed that the lawmakers, Democratic, and Arabs get out, okay? It's time to hunker down. This generation coming up, you guys, the jig is up. The whole thing that they use to lull my generation and older to sleep, this racial guilt stuff, like you owe somebody something for being white, that's over and done with. Nobody serious believes that anymore, and anybody that tells you anything like that is trying to get money out of you. They're trying to get their hand up your ass. The idea that the founders of this country, the people who built this country, built it because they wanted some Arab guy to have a vinyl rap shop, fuck all that. There's not much you can do about that.
That's a great point. If we're talking about the founders, if we're, if that was the case, then we wouldn't have sent the Marines to go deal with the Barbary pirates. I mean, they're just, they're just competing with us, really. They're just taking all our stuff and, they just have a better everything. So I guess we'll just let them just take it, No.
In the short term, but it's important the attitude that you take towards it. So yeah, it's time to hunker down. It's time to start gathering your acorns. If you have a father that you can build a business with or take over the family business, then put the gas pedal down and do it.
So Sam, what do you think can be done about the problematic corporate gamification of the system, not just the economic system, also, parts of the legal system? If the people who are, noticing it and wanting to do it in large numbers generally don't have access to the quote-unquote change from within, and what would the change from outside look like? What would those steps kind of look like? It's a good thing to think about, and that's what my mind's on.
I don't know. Get involved locally, maybe. Try to become a judge. We need more white people being judges. Not to blackpill, but it's going to get worse and worse. It's going to look more and more like Brazil. And you have to take care of yourself and your family and whoever's close to you, whatever your tribal circle is. Shrink that down appropriately and take care of those people and stack Bitcoin.
Hey, over 3 years sober from pills that I got jacked up on from being in the military and had to get surgery. Got sober, got my life back, married, having a baby on the way. I'm just really nervous that there's no fucking future. I'm an idiot and never saved money, and now I'm starting to, but I just don't see how this pans out. How do you restart at age 31? I have a good job now, but not retiring kind of job. I don't want to work till I'm fucking 80, but I want to give my kid the best life possible. What do we do?
You sound like a nerd, bro. You were way cooler when you were on those pills.
That sucks, dude. That so sucks. I totally empathize, though. I mean, there's no jobs that hire with the benefits that our families and forefathers had and that would guarantee, or they could afford a life. But I don't know. I'm doing this after Trump's been inaugurated, so I don't know how much that's going to change anything. I would guess not much, but still, you got to look out for you, and because that's how it works. And that's the thing, is like the world was sold to us when we were growing up, when I was growing up, as we're all one big happy family, kumbaya, drink a Coke, kind of thing. And that's how the world was sold, like growing up, like in school, like you don't have to look out for yourself. We'll take care of you. We'll do all this. We'll do all that. All that kind of stuff. But this is, you make a world that the rules are that you should be looking out for yourself, but no one told you that you actually should be doing that. And that's just, how do you deal with that? How do you deal with that societally? Like, what do you do? If authority from whence you were born, from the time that you finished school, said go to school, go to college, get a degree, whatever you want, just this will get you a job, and that job will take care of you for the rest of your life, like it did for your parents, and that's what you do. And then those things aren't there. How do you keep society running? How do you keep it going? I don't know. I'm not sure, but I would guess you can't keep it running for very long if you keep having broken promises. You'll have some angry people, and then you'll have some people that are so angry they decide to do something about it. So
You were way more chill when you were on pills. Is that Jamie or Jesse? Yo, remember when Jesse was always around? He was on pills. He was just like mad chill. That was the version of Jesse that I wanted to see, not this guy. Family man, what is this? I have a job and I need money. What are you talking about, bro? Listen to rap music. Who's that rapper that I like?
Yeah, get rid of the
Krayshawn?
kid. Get back
Bitch, you
on your
work at
drugs.
Arby's. Okay. What did she have, that one song like 10 years ago?
What?
Pussy made by Gucci. That's how good her pussy is. It's made by Gucci. Is that true? 31 is young, so I wouldn't stress out too much about this. You've got time ahead of you, and if you're 31 and you already have a good job and you're already starting to save money, that puts you ahead of the game. And I would just say, try to be less neurotic and don't worry about it too much. Just keep putting one foot in front of the other. You overcame an opioid addiction, right? What pills did he get hooked on the military? Super combat pills? He was just addicted to being a super deadly soldier. Like Jocko. I'm addicted to super deadly combat pills. Did you see the coach today? He had Jocko Molk. Yo, I wanted to be like, I can't work out if I'm looking at that. You got to take that out of here. Overcame a drug addiction. You're married. You have a baby on the way. You're saving money. You're 31. That's young. You have a good job at 31. Don't be nervous about the future. Stop. You're overthinking it. Stop overthinking it. You're ahead of the game. If you have a woman that's not a bitch, and you're lucky enough to have children in your life, you're probably good to go, man. It's not a retirement kind of job. What is a retirement kind of job? Who has a retirement kind of job? Who's planning for retirement? You're 31. What are you, fucking little old lady? Why are you even worrying about retirement? Should I be pushing people to save their money in Bitcoin every chance? You just can't store your money in the US dollar. That's the only thing. If you're saving money, you have to find some alternative vessel for your wealth. What most people do is mutual funds or real estate or something like that, but you can't save US dollars because they're always worth less tomorrow than they are today. What about selling drugs? You were in the military. You have access to super combat pills and ultra back pain memory blasters. You probably have access to some of the best pills in the nation.
Hey, Sam. One thing I hoped for with Elon was that the one thing he could provide was free speech. I thought to myself, oh, maybe we don't have to worry about who we like what comedians we listen to, what we follow online. But even now, I'm using fucking star 67 to call because I fear that repercussions are just around every corner. We're just fucking locked in to this idea of you can't like this, you can't follow this comedian, or there's repercussions financially. It feels like we're all just locked down.
Yeah,
and we have to believe, what's acceptable.
Yeah.
I don't even see where the free speech is coming in. For Elon to do a 180 and be like, oh, actually, all Americans are stupid, and I think I'll ban a huge swath of them who believes a certain thing, it's fucking disheartening.
Yeah.
But thanks for making the video.
History it undulates, right? Chris, you learned this in history class. It's cyclical. There's never homeostasis. That's a pleasing thing to achieve, is when there's a system that's set up and it just works properly. But that's not anything. That's not the human body.
No.
That's not your car. There's nothing like that. Everything is a constant battle between order and entropy. Free speech.
That's what it is. And then we have to, there is this idea of struggle. And no one's saying, I don't think on our side, that struggle shouldn't exist. That there is no point in struggling, or working every day, and emphasizing laziness, which I think Vivek has confused us wanting to be lazy with wanting to live good lives, which is a very big conflation, in that tweet that I looked at. But I think people are okay with fighting every day, but the outcomes need to be more balanced. The outcomes should be more balanced in that, people need to have more of a chance of getting the good life than the chance of not. And the chance of not is higher than ever of achieving a good life with hard work than if you had previously worked hard before and you decided to take all your money and put it in Bitcoin. That's a lot easier life if you had taken all your money and put it in Bitcoin about 10 years ago than what you would be having right now, working hard. So, yeah, you're right. It's a balance of, yes, entropy and hard work. And you have to make that balance, and you have to, it needs to be more, the chance has to be higher for more people to succeed than the chance being lower for, even though you do the hard work and the people just off the top take all that hard work that you did and then claim it as theirs and then use that to make themselves work less rather than you also get to work less. Do you see what I'm saying? That's the point.
Is the same thing. It's the same thing. There's always been a list of things that you can't say, and there's always been a group of people trying to tell you who you can't talk about. Nigerians. I forgot which people you can't talk about. I think it's Nigerians.
Yeah, don't talk
the
about
battle
Nigeria.
is never over.
You don't talk about that.
The attitude of the people in the battle is what's important. There will never be a perfect state, and there will never be a perfect set of conditions where everybody's got free speech and there's no longer this constant 24/7 battle for resources and attention and the power to change people's opinions, et cetera, et cetera. It's always going to be a battle. The thing that you have the most direct control over is your attitude as a participant in this battle, which you are no matter what.
Yes.
It's going to find you. What's the...
And that's true. And
do you believe
it is a battle, and you are a participant. And in the 21st century, everyone's a participant, whether you like to be a participant or not. Every day you wake up, the first thing you do, what do? You get out, you probably check your phone, right? Well, now you're battling your own attention against everything that wants your attention. As soon as you arise from the only thing that is yours, which is your rest, then you go outside. Then you get in your car. Now you're fighting attention for yourself, probably trying to get through traffic, trying to assert yourself in front of traffic so that you don't get left behind, or you don't get waiting to the last possible minute to get to work. And then you get to work, and then you also are fighting for attention from your boss or your coworkers, whatever, for you to complete a project. And so you're always fighting for attention. I mean, you're always fighting for a battle of what's good for you and what's good for everyone else. And it doesn't matter whether you're casually looking online, whether you're doing, looking at Twitter or X or whatever, or you're actually actively at work, or you're fighting a battle with a gun. It doesn't matter, because every point in your life is a conflict. I'm sorry if that's the case, like if that hurts, but it is the thing. What we strive for, though, or what we should strive for, is to make that less of a thing, because the only thing we have here that that we can't get back is time, and we can't get time because we will die eventually. So we have to realize that the attention that we give to something, or that we withhold from someone or something, is valuable, because otherwise we just become the slaves of whatever holds our attention in that current moment, and whoever it is that is holding the attention wins. And if it's not you holding your own attention for your own goals and your own ambitions and everything else, then unfortunately, in today's world, it's harder to have a good life. I don't want to say you lose, but it is harder to have a good life if you don't do that. So,
Do you believe in Jewish? Well, you're in one. Yeah, no, the battle is going to find you, and maybe the most important thing to control anyway is your attitude. Yeah. You should not be black-pilled, because humanity and our people have faced much worse.
I would agree.
We're not made of such weak stuff that if somebody spurgs out and messes with a computer program, all of a sudden it's doom and gloom forever. That's not the case, man. None of
We're not at that point yet.
Problems that we face are problems that were created by one person in a short period of time.
That is what we're striving towards societally right now at the moment, tech geniuses, but we're not there yet. So the one thing that we do have is hope, and the one thing that we should, keep and hold on to is hope for our future and our future generations and children, and that is one thing that they haven't taken away from us, and they can't take away from us as long as you have it. So keep that in your head, keep that in your mind, and there's a lot to be said for focusing on positive outcomes and getting more positive outcomes, rather than creating a self-fulfilling prophecy of depression and darkness. I've been there. Not a fun place to be. I'm realizing now more than ever that it is within your control to make it happen or not happen, but you gotta take some effort on yourself and put yourself in a positive headspace if you want to live to the next day. And you should want to live to the next day, because every day is exciting, every day is worth living, if and only for the chance of enriching your own life as well as someone else's. And if you have that in mind, then that's the best outcome that you could have. Getting rid of yourself, if you're thinking of that, taking yourself out or going down that route, is the worst thing you could do, especially if you watch this kind of content, because the world needs us. The world needs you, and they need the way that you think, and they need you to be positive, because your enemies know, once you think positively about something, they're done. Once you know you have power, once you know that you can actually control outcomes, they have no power over you, and that's all they have. And that's don't give them that win. Don't give them that win. Just think positively. Keep that head space tight. Keep it clean. Clean your room. And yeah, keep moving forward. It's what you can do. One foot in front of the other. Just like Sam says. Good stuff.
They were created by a cabal of people over 100+ years. Whatever fixes that, it's not going to be an easy fix. It's not going to be an overnight. It's not going to be thanks to a president or thanks to a CEO.
Yeah.
It's only going to be thanks to the continued efforts of everybody.
Right.
Yo, what's up, Sam? I got a doctorate in chemistry, and there were Indians all up in my research group. They used their networks to hire each other, and white people like me were fucking boned. I asked them, hey, any jobs opening up at Intel? Any jobs opening up at these semiconductor companies? And they said no. And then they told their other Indian friends who are still at the department about these jobs, and they just hired it themselves. Fucking sucks. Anyway, I ended up working for America and doing the military, and there are no Indians in sight. Nothing but Americans. It is the golden pastures, the green land. Thank you for your video. Kicks ass.
Don't run off and join the military if you get so disheartened with this country, the way things are going. I don't think that's a good idea. I think I've talked to way more people who got fucked over somehow by being in the military than people who were in the military and had a great experience. And the military doesn't care about you. The country doesn't care about you. The people running the country and the military don't care about you. If you join the military, you're essentially just signing away your life to become a tool for you know what. And it's probably a bad idea, even though those guys are cool and I do like talking to them. They are funny. They probably have senses of humor that are up there with construction workers and cops. They're very funny people, and I can understand why there's a sense of camaraderie and fraternity, etc. But
I mean, I've thought of going that route and doing that kind of thing, but then at the other end of it, it's like, then I don't have any choice on what it is that I decide to fight for, or what it is that I can be a part of. It's for some people, I think it's a good option. It's a good choice to join the military if you have no other options really available to you, then perhaps that's the best one to take. But it's not for everyone, for sure, and there are ups and downs to everything, and I think the military can be useful, but of course there's sacrifice to everything that you do and everything decision that you make, but that's just one that you really got to think about. You really got to think, what am I getting myself into? What if I have to fight for a cause or against my own people, or for something that I have no heart in, and I think until we can really, really be sure that is actually the case, that we're not going to fight for something that's not in America's best interest, for the American people's best interest, rather than Intel and Nvidia and Halliburton, then I don't think maybe joining the military is probably the right idea, until we are assured that those kinds of considerations are not even in the top 100 of the military's priorities. So, moving on.
I think it's a really bad idea, and you probably shouldn't do it. I'm not talking about you because you already did it, but just people in general. It also doesn't fix anything. Yeah. The smorgasbord of issues that we face right now, none of that is solved by getting in a APC and going shooting a guy. That doesn't fit. The guys that need to be shot, they're not.
That's true. You're probably going to be more depressed and worse off if you ever have to take that action upon yourself and do it for a cause that you really have no heart in doing in the first place. And you kill a guy, and all that you have is your buddies telling you that you did a good job, and that your government tells you do a good job. But if at the end of the day you don't believe it yourself, you're going to end up with PTSD and drugs and all the other kind of stuff that goes along with that. And you don't need to do that. There's no reason to do that if all you need is just to I mean, I know it's hard to find jobs and all that kind of stuff in America right now, but you gotta understand there's consequences that come with that again, and those are one of those consequences that I just don't know if I could live with myself at night. That being the case, it would hurt me immensely, and I think I would bring that with me wherever I went, and whoever I decide to have a family with, and those children, and all of that kind of stuff, and that's kind of stuff I have to think about, and I wouldn't want to do that. So
Not over there, they're over here.
enemies, foreign and domestic.
I don't think you should sign your sovereignty over to the U.S. military just yet. I understand how if you're working at D'Angelo's, all of a sudden someone handing you a gun and you're surrounded by cool guys with good sense of humor, and they're the same race as you, how that could feel heartening or like you're a part of something important, but I don't think so. I think that's just the trick they use to get people like you killed since forever. And yeah, as far as the intel thing goes, we're living in a gay racial nepotism kleptocracy. The incentives are so out of whack that really my best recommendation for you would be look for ways to steal. You got to just figure out how to steal, bro. File a sexual harassment lawsuit. I don't know. They're going to be paying a lot of lip service to fairness and meritocracy as they replace people like you with Indians over the next 10 years. And just remember, as they do that, you should steal and file sexual harassment lawsuits. It's not a nice thing. It's not nice to encourage people to steal. That's not how society should work. You don't believe in low trust
system, but the gaming of the system. The system is set up in a way that's how you do it. That's how it's done. If you want to get ahead, if you want to make a splash, if you want to get your stuff. I have a story. I mean, I have probably multiple stories, but my parents have been in multiple car accidents. For them, and they've been fine, they were recovered, and there were times where the accident was serious enough, where there could have been legal action that we could have pursued. We could have gone down a route of, going through lawyers and going to the insurance company and saying, get me this money and pay these bills and all this kind of stuff, this pain and suffering and all that kind of thing. Could be done. But at the same time, is that the moral, just, honest thing to do when really all that happened was the car and the insurance was going to pay for it, and that's fine and everything's good and we're not in serious injury or damage. I'm not missing a limb. I don't have brain damage, no tumors, that kind of thing. But then we have years later where my brother was in an accident and, and then years later, a lawsuit will come up against us for an accident that happened years ago, and it's demanding this much money and this much compensation and all this kind of stuff, and we're just like, well, you left and you were fine. You had everything. We were taken care of, and then lawsuits come in. You don't create a system of a society of trust or of morals if that's the way that you operate. You incentivize stealing. Do you see what I'm saying? That's what he's talking about. This is exactly what he's talking about. Learn how to steal. This is one way that you do it. One way that you do it is if you ever get in an accident, it doesn't matter how small, how non-severe that the accident is, you launch a lawsuit. And you can do it years down the road. And you can do it unsuspectingly on that person, and then they'll wake up and their whole lives will be flipped upside down. And hopefully, you had insurance that had legal representation included along with it. But, yeah, I mean, that kind of stuff happens all the time. It's just that's one way you learn how to steal, and it's not morally right, and I understand that it's not morally right, but if you want to get ahead, that's one easy way to do it, legally, and without, having people yell at you and hard work. None of that. See, and this is the problem. We've incentivized stealing, and we've incentivized luck, blind luck, like investment in a cryptocurrency, or once you get into an accident, then you just take everything in that opportunity, rather than hard work, which would have gotten you to a point of being good and okay. And that's just not the case. So I absolutely agree with what he's saying. Stealing, it's not great. It's not good. And yeah, you do have to answer at the end of the day to yourself and your morals and to God and all of that kind of stuff. But a majority of Americans are just trying to get by. And if they're just trying to get by and they don't think about God or morals or any of that stuff, they're going to steal. And those of us who are moral are like, well, there's no big deal, no big issue. We're going to keep getting sucker punched in the face by people who like to steal. And at that point, eventually there is a breaking point of those people who are moral, and they'll be like, okay, well, you can't beat them, join them. Guess society's done. Guess we're over. Guess we don't need to cooperate anymore. Guess it's every man for himself. Guess what? You don't have a country. You don't have a society. You don't have anything anymore after that point. When you've lost all the good moral people, that's it. No more. You can't go back. You can't unwind the clock. But he's exactly right. That's how you learn to do it. You steal. You learn to get away with things that probably morally a little on the gray area, but are going to make you better off. And that's the society we live in today. That's it.
Society's too bad you're in one. There's no route towards restoring a high trust society in America, in my opinion. If there is, that's good. That's a great thing. That would be wonderful. I would love that. That would be amazing.
He says there's no route. And see, this is exactly what you haven't even seen the video. But I knew this was the path that we're going down. Because how do you get that back? Do you reduce the legalism? Do you say, you can't do lawsuits? No, you can't do the all this kind of stuff. We're too entrenched. I don't know how you walk any of that back. I mean, I'd love for it to be possible, but the way that we're going is a way of societal destruction. Hard to argue against. Please argue with it. Argue it against me, please. I'd love to argue how you see society is increasing in a good way that will preserve itself. Because you have to have good, honest, moral people that believe in that in order for that to be possible. And they are getting less and fewer every single day.
A company has been infiltrated by DEI types and by Indians. Indians are up there with the most racially nepotistic people. They only have one. The competition is slim up there. I think if I say it in German, is that code? They're not going to know. They're up there with the most racially nepotistic people. And if the company's been taken over by those types, it's time to start stealing and doing whatever you got to do to dismantle the company from within. Quiet quitting, whatever nasty tactic. Use ChatGPT. What sort of nasty tactics can I use to fuck with my employer over a 5-year period? Make it artful. Be artful about it. Figure out a way to take some money on your way out.
Sam motherfucking Hyde, let's go, baby. I'm a young white dude. Shit fucking sucks for me. More than half the world wants me fucking dead and gay. I just watched Dear Elon. It gave me a surge, dude. I really fucking needed. I've been in a slump, and I feel like goddamn the whole country is. When you said that thing about where you can barely afford to get fucking Domino's, dude, I work my fucking ass off, and it's like, I got nothing. I've actually just accepted the idea that I'm a fucking cog. I'm just a NPC, and I just do the shit I gotta do, and it's fucking miserable, bro. For someone to speak out with a platform like yours, dude, is fucking awesome. We need to have the immigration policy of Israel for fucking Japan. Appreciate you, bro.
Japan is not long for this world. they're going to start fucking with Japan. Mark my words. That will be very interesting to see how that plays out. And I pray.
I hate that. I hate that for Japan because I've lived in Japan. I love Japan. I think it's one of the pinnacles of modern civilization, as far as how it works. It blends traditionalism with its high-tech everything, but it is coming to a head of sustaining the newness with the traditionalism. And it's done it for a very long time. It's done it effectively. But unfortunately, when you get so much, you focus so much technologically and you focus so much on growth, and growth becomes your credo and growth becomes everything, not providing a good life, but just growth, then just making this, you're just making this so much worse for everyone, because technology will win out in the end. It becomes, there's so much over in Japan that can distract you, and I had this argument, or I had a comment I put on a post. I said, yeah, we should be more like Japan, and the only thing that Japan has that is worse than I think the United States is its working culture. And that's because we've given them the whole idea of a working culture. We gave them this outlet of putting all their young effort, time, and energy into not fighting, war fighting, bonsai, kamikaze, securing for the glory of Japan. We tried to direct it when MacArthur was over there into for the glory of the company. And if we can direct it into the glory of the company, then we can make them more productive and less destructive to the people that are around them. Well, fast forward, 80 years later, 70 years later, and we are, we're seeing that Japan might not be able to keep itself stabilized with that kind of, because we've developed high technological progress in Japan. Like, they have a very high quality of life and all of that, but more and more young people are checking out because what is there to live for? For the technical, they have freaking anime, 3D, everything, alcoholism, you can have all you can eat. It's like, and all they have to do is work for their entire lives from the day they get up to the day they die. And that's just not a life, man. What probably a Japanese person wants is to go and fight and die on a foreign battlefield, securing things for the glory of Japan and taking them from people who don't respect the glory of Japan. And if they do wake up, if they do come to a conclusion of, well, this shit sucks, I don't want to keep working for this boss guy, I'd rather, fight and die in a, foreign battlefield or something, and then they remilitarize, that's a big issue. That's a whole big issue for not just the United States, but for the world, because they dominated the Russians pretty good there in World War II, and if it wasn't for some luck that the Americans had in World War II, they probably would have dominated us pretty good too, with Midway, when we had pretty good luck there. But they do have the right idea. It's just that we can't go down that route exactly of this hard work mentality of which Vivek wants us to go down. That will not get us out of the slump. That will not get us to a better place, will not get us to a better society, not more trust. It won't do any of that. Yeah.
For the people of Japan, I pray that they will be able to weather the storm, but that's going to be pretty interesting to see. If the Japanese imperialistic kamikaze fighting spirit has truly been suppressed by anime kittens and nuclear weapons, has it truly...
That's what I just said! That's what I just said! That's exactly what I just said. Anyway.
...been erased from their sacre bleu, to quote Asmongold, of a people, Has it really been wiped out, or has it been laying dormant? Are we going to see
That's it. That's the problem. Is like, are we waiting for them to become to this conclusion of like, this fucking sucks. This fucking sucks. I want to go fucking kill myself in a battlefield somewhere, trying to reach a higher goal in my life rather than working for tiny scraps and producing little gizmos and gadgets and a GDP on a line go up. If they realize that, if that's not been totally eradicated, we're gonna have a wild time probably here in I'd say about 20 years, maybe 15 to 20 years. I think they would probably wise up to that. If it's totally gone, and now they're starting to import, people to make up for their loss of productivity. But if it's totally gone and they've suppressed it to that point, then yeah, they're going to have to import, and it's going to become like the Western countries have. So there's two routes, and one is this entire implosion of a Japanese identity, and the other is reasserting it on the world stage for everybody to see and be aware of me. Like, yeah, we're still here, motherfuckers. And I'm not sure which one's worse. I really don't want Japan to go the way of the dodo, but I also really don't want to see a remilitarized Japan that hates everything and everybody that's in the West for making it the way that it is and misleading it in a path that has been really not good for them, as we are finding out. What we should do is be like, okay, we've given you, we should give you some leeway here. Like, step in and be like, okay, please don't kill us. Like, please, we should, try and develop this third path potentially, because we know this isn't working, and we know that way is going to lead to us all getting in a fight again. So we need to find a third option.
Japanese with rifles again? I don't know. Are we going to see Japanese, I don't know, torturing a few people, trying to boil a Chinese guy?
They're going to boil him.
Because I know that the first black man in Japan was met with bows and handshakes and, oh, yes, sir, you're very good. Oh, very interesting, a black ski. No. But that might not be the case for the last black man in Japan, who might be on his way out after being boiled.
Yeah.
Unit 731 style. No. I don't know enough about Japan to know what the people are capable of. It's going to be interesting, and I will pray for them. This guy,
yes,
you swear too much.
Yeah.
Don't swear so much. It's not necessary. He said Lauren Southern's trying to kill him? Is that what he said?
Oh, my God.
Oh, yeah.
Great.
Yeah, well, we couldn't be beaten any other way.
No.
That's the only way to beat us, is make us gay and dead.
Nope.
It's normal for young guys not to have money. When you're young, you're basically trying to figure out what the game is and what your role in it is. If you're young, it doesn't necessarily matter that you're broke. It's not the end of the world. Everybody who's young is broke. That's just normal. When people swear, I get the vibes of like a person that works at a post office or a sub shop or something. The type of blue collar people that don't make money. So not trades workers, but just like people that work in a fucking store. I think they swear all the time. Like if you work at Target, if you're stocking shelves at Target, you just swear all the time in your head. And that's why if you don't like swearing, there's like a Redditor type pushback you get from people who their morality is like everyth's okay as long as no one's being physically hurt in the moment type thing. Yeah. I'm not doing a good job of grabbing these ideas here, but like, so what do you mean I heckin' couldn't fucking swear? At least I'm a fucking heckin' good person. Yeah, don't swear. I think it reads too much like you're hopeless. It's not good. Another thing is when you are young, your low skill level and your low awareness, you just generally have lower agency. You're not really valuable enough to anybody to be more than a cog or more than an NPC. So that's another thing that can compound that feeling of the walls closing in around you, is because that's the fight of your 20s or from 25 to your early 30s. is making your time more valuable, making your time valuable enough that you don't have to take low pay, you don't have to take shit from people, you don't have to accept people that are rude to you or whatever, because your skills are sought after.
Yes.
You can demand more from your environment, basically, because you're good at something. You look for reasons not to fire somebody who's really good at something. You look for reasons not to fire somebody that's making you money or is solving problems that you don't like dealing with. You look for reasons to keep them happy in their job. And if they're not bringing money to the table or helping you out or solving problems, then it doesn't matter. You don't really care what their life is like.
Yeah.
Because what the fuck, what are you even doing here? You get paid $8 an hour to be a human toilet. Or here, put the cheese on this pizza. You dummy. A lot of problems can be solved by getting good at something, making your time worth more money.
Yes. And that's, we're 25 minutes in, and now I've recorded about an hour and 19 minutes. So I am going to stop it here for now, but I just want to thank you all for coming back, Vivek, and seeing this video and watching me and commentating and everything. And if you enjoyed it, please leave a like. Tell me how I did. Tell me if you agree with any of the points, if I was too long-winded or anything like that. And I really do hope you come back and you see me for part 2 of Dear Vivek, because these phone call-ins are pretty great. It's good to get the voices of the people out there and on there about what is going on in the world, because we are not alone on this. We all have valid perspectives and opinions, and we really need to band together, just like everyone else seems to be able to, but a lot of us are not. So that's just how it is. That's just how it is. And we gotta stick together. There it is. And thank you for joining. I'm the Human Advocate, advocating for humans, and I hope to see you next time. Please leave a like, subscribe, comment if there's anything that I need to change. And until then, take care. Bye-bye.